Today, we're diving into the massive, complex, and absolutely vital rulebook that governs our planet's oceans. It's kind of like an invisible code that shapes everything from global trade to the movements of a naval warship.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Who actually sets the rules for over two-thirds of the Earth's surface? We're talking about this vast blue expanse that connects every continent, a space teeming with resources, critical trade routes, you name it. So, who's in charge?
Well, the answer might surprise you. It is definitely not a free-for-all out there. There's a really detailed global system called the Law of the Sea, and it dictates pretty much everything, from a single fishing boat's rights to a massive aircraft carrier's right to pass.
But yeah, this system didn't just appear out of thin air. The whole quest to regulate the seas is a story that has unfolded over centuries, and it really mirrors the shifting tides of global power and politics.
It all started with this revolutionary idea back in 1609 of a free sea, where no single nation could claim ownership of the oceans. For centuries, that was the basic idea. It wasn't until 1958, with the Geneva Conventions, that we saw the first real attempt to write it all down. But the real game changer, the document we're really digging into today, is the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. It actually took until 1994 to come into force, but now it's pretty much known as the Constitution for the Oceans.
So, to really get a grip on this constitution, let's imagine we're setting sail on a journey. We're going to start right at the coastline, in the waters where a nation's control is the strongest. Absolutely absolute. First stop, internal waters. You should think of the water inside a country's main ports, its rivers that flow out to sea, and its most sheltered bays. This is everything on the land side of what's called the baseline, which is just the official low tide mark along the coast.
And here's the crucial part. Legally speaking, these waters are treated exactly the same as a country's land. The coastal state has complete, absolute sovereignty. So a foreign ship can't just decide to sail into the port of Rotterdam or Singapore without getting permission first.
Okay, now let's push off from the shore and sail a little further out. The very next zone we hit is called the territorial sea. It's this defined belt of water that literally hugs the entire coastline.
Under UNCLOS, a country can claim a territorial sea that extends up to 12 nautical miles from its baseline. Now that's about 22 kilometers, or 14 miles. And that number wasn't just picked at random. It's a really important, widely accepted international standard. Now this is where we see a key difference. A nation has full sovereignty over its territorial sea, and that includes the airspace above it and the seabed below, but it's not quite the same absolute control as in its internal waters. There is one vital, game-changing exception.
And that one crucial exception is called the right of infant passage. This is a fundamental principle in international law that allows ships from any country to pass through another state's territorial sea.
So what does innocent actually mean? Well, UNCLOS is super specific about this. Your passage is not innocent if you're doing things like threatening the coastal state, conducting weapons drills, spying, launching aircraft, trying to fish, or causing serious pollution. Basically, any activity that isn't just about continuous, speedy travel or anything that threatens the peace and security of that coastal country is a big no-no.
All right, let's keep going on our journey. As we sail further from the shore, we're leaving those zones of total sovereignty and entering areas that are defined more by specific rights, mostly to do with resources and law enforcement.
Okay, this lays out the next few zones for us. Right past the territorial sea, you have the contiguous zone. Think of it as a security buffer. It's where a state can enforce its customs, immigration, or health laws. Then, and this one is huge, you get the exclusive economic zone, the EEZ, which stretches all the way out to 200 nautical miles. This is all about the money, the resources. The coastal state has the exclusive rights to all the fish, oil, and gas in that zone. It's so important that competing EEZ claims are a source of major geopolitical tension in places like the South China Sea. And finally, you have the continental shelf, which gives that state exclusive rights to the minerals on and under the seabed itself.
So here's a quick summary of what we've covered. It's pretty clear, right? You can see how a nation's power changes with distance. It goes from full-on sovereignty close to shore to specific law enforcement powers a bit further out, and finally to exclusive economic rights in those vast outer zones.
So what happens when we sail past that 200-mile marker of the EEZ? Well, that's when we enter the legendary high seas, the waters that don't belong to any single nation, but to everyone. You know, the core principle here is just so simple and powerful. The high seas are global commons. No country, no matter how powerful, can legally claim any part of them as their own. They are open for every single nation on Earth to use. And what does that freedom actually look like in practice? Well, UNCLOS lays it out. It guarantees the right for all nations to do things like sail their ships, fly their planes over, lay undersea internet cables, fish, and conduct scientific research.
Okay, but with all this talk of freedom, you might be thinking it's some kind of maritime Wild West out there, right? A total free-for-all?
Nope, not at all. In fact, some major environmental disasters proved that pure, unchecked freedom just wasn't enough. When the oil tanker Torrey Canyon ran aground back in 1967, it was technically in international waters, but it caused this catastrophic oil slick that devastated the British and French coastlines. This disaster, and others like it, led to new international rules that give countries the right to step in, even on the high seas, to prevent or clean up major pollution threats.
So our journey so far has been horizontal, sailing out from the coast. Now, we're going to do something different. Let's take a vertical dive, way down from the surface of the high seas to the deep, dark ocean floor.
This vast, dark frontier has a special legal name. It's simply called the Area. And it's governed by what has to be one of the most idealistic and incredible principles in all of international law. Its resources are the common heritage of mankind. So what does that actually mean? It means that the incredible mineral wealth that's down there, things like these polymetallic nodules that are packed with nickel, copper, and cobalt, it doesn't just belong to the company or the country with the fancy tech to get it first. Instead, it's all managed by a body called the International Seabed Authority, which is supposed to ensure that the economic benefits of deep-sea mining are shared among all nations.
And that really brings us to our final thought for today. UNCLOS was, without a doubt, a monumental achievement of the 20th century. But as brand new technologies open up the deepest parts of the ocean to exploitation, and as climate change literally alters the chemistry and coastlines of our planet, the ultimate question is, will this essential constitution be able to handle the challenges of the 21st century? That really remains to be seen.